Thank you guys for having us. It's lovely to see such a nice gathering of Egyptian Americans or Arab Americans in general gathered over such an awesome debate or conversation that we'll be having today in this panel. So I'll get right to it. Thank you, Yumna, for those amazing introductions. Oh. Oh, yes. Can you see? All right. Okay, so being that everybody speaks Arabic? Does somebody not speak Arabic? Does anybody not read and write Arabic? This is advice that I would like to give to future generations. Please don't let your kids lose their Arabic language. And to celebrate the Arabic language, I'm going to start from right to left. Is that okay? Because that's how we write. Okay, we have with us Dr. Ali Gamai. Thank you for being with us. Dr. Ali, honestly, DreamHack's founder and CEO, leading expert in food and beverage technology, holds several patents in the fields. And just recently, he has liquid vitamins and nutrition. Am I missing something?
No.
There's so much more to say. When I asked him what I should say, he gave me one sentence. I said, what are you talking about? You have such a high list of accomplishments. So also a very modest gentleman who's here with us today. So just a round of applause for Dr. Ali. And then next to him, another very modest gentleman, Mr. Megdi Aziz, President and Chief Executive Officer of 5 Group. He co-founded the company and instilled an employee-centric corporate culture, as well as led efforts to be a trusted advisor and partner to customers. You have over 25 years of experience developing and managing highly critical and sensitive data and business intelligence systems for the United States government. So applaud for Mr. Megdi Aziz. And then Yara is also, you're a board member on SEAP, right? Yeah. And she works at a private equity company. She's an analyst and works on micro and macro analysis. And previously, she's worked with companies and entrepreneurs on building their business plan and financial model in Egypt. So I love that you worked there and you came here and you're still working with the Egyptian American community. So huge round of applause for you as well. And Mr. Mohammed Hamed, one of the sponsors for the event, AVP branch manager at M&T Bank. He has 12 years of experience in retail banking. 12 years, so that's pretty amazing. He worked a variety of roles. He's garnered dynamic experience in creating small business cash flow optimization, community banking, and helping clients build overall wealth. And most importantly, he's driven by the community. And that's why he's here with us today. So a round of applause for him. All right, shall we get started with the questions that you're all waiting for? Oh man, you guys are still sleeping? All right. So I want to start the panel by asking a question that oftentimes startups or people that want to have a startup, they have an idea, they have a product or a service. But my question to you is a good product or service enough for success, Dr. Ali? Let me pass the mic on.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Yeah, I cannot hear myself. It's a great question. And how much time do you have?
At your discretion.
30 minutes?
No, not at
all. It's a great question because ideas, everybody has a good idea. A lot of people come up with ideas, but good idea is not sufficient to guarantee success for several reasons. Not every human being is an entrepreneur. People are created, entrepreneurs are created as such with a entrepreneurial bug embedded in their brains. It's always pushing them to do things, to think differently. So, but it doesn't mean that if you're not an entrepreneur, you have no role or no success coming your way, because a good entrepreneur would need a management team and good people around to make the idea come to life. I'll give you a quick example. We all know Keurig coffee machines, the K-Cups. And the guy who invented K-Cups long ago just thought it's too complicated to pursue. It needs a lot of money, didn't know what to do. And he sold it for $40,000 to that coffee company. That company was sold for billions of dollars last year, the Keurig company. So he didn't know what to do with it. So if you have a great idea, you need to seek advice. You need to talk to people in the field. You need to develop relationships and then start packaging your idea, developing a plan, how you're going to proceed, how you're going to finance it. But above all, you need a determination to succeed. So more than the idea itself is your perseverance, your persistence that you're going to succeed and you are not going to fail. I'm going to touch upon that point a lot today.
Okay.
You don't want to fail, you're not going to fail, you're going to only succeed. There is no appetite for failure. So you see your success and you work towards that. And I can touch upon other points as I proceed.
You're also a motivational speaker, I see. I love it, honestly. Like the fact that this question garnered all that. Wow, I mean, I'm pretty much amazed. So you're saying that a good product or service isn't enough, and perseverance, seeking advice, not letting your ego get to you.
Correct.
And Mr. Megdi, I'd just like you to touch upon what Dr. Ali said, and just build upon that as far as good products or services, and maybe something that he said.
Yeah, and thanks everybody, of course. And I feel like there's so many distinguished guests here that we can speak about the subject a lot more than we can. But in general, what I do is surface, and it's the same thing that's applied to the product. And the things that I have to emphasize that you have to have a good idea, you have to fight for it, you have to have the charisma to do it. Like you said, you have to have the blood. Idea by itself means nothing without execution. So you have to do the right research, the more time spent ahead of time to search for the market, search who's going to buy from you, how you're going to buy it, how you're going to price it. All these things are critically important.
So you mentioned charisma. So I'm assuming you're saying that networking is a big part of having a good product or service.
Absolutely. It's networking with your friends, with your families is a very big key of success. I always believe that if you surround yourself by successful people, you become one of them. So try very much to handshake everybody you meet, try to understand what they do, share your ideas with them. Don't be shy. If somebody have an idea and keep it inside themselves without sharing it, they are not going to be successful. You have to talk to everybody about it. You have to learn from the lessons. Without really having the advice from other people, you are not going to go anywhere. So that's really
right. So to sum it all up, just networking, having charisma, trying to speak to as many people as possible. If you don't have that entrepreneurial mindset, find someone that does, get them on board your team, right, to grow your business.
Yeah, and the key things is one of the important things that Dr. Ali mentioned also is failure is not an option. With every failure you learn, and the next one you're going to avoid the early mistakes you have made. So don't think of you start something and if you don't get there, that you're going to this is it. No, this is just a learning experience. Every day you learn something.
So you also mentioned market research. So I want you to tell us a little bit about market research and strategy and how important and how integral that is to a startup.
In my opinion, is today market research is a lot easier than the old days that when we started market research. One of the things you have to really be cautious of when you start a new business, don't spend too much money ahead of time. Don't spend too much time in doing researches. Everything is readily available right now. Google is my best friend. So, and on the web, you can find everything about market research. But before you do anything, you have to have somebody to buy it from you. You have to know if that the timing is correct to launch this product. You have to know that's how you're going to sustain the income that's coming through this product. All these things you are not going to just come up from nowhere. You have to really understand your field. Number one, you have to understand where you are, what you do it best. And based on that, you have to find other people that are doing the same thing. Because in many cases, if you have this great idea that you want to launch, it's already been done before. So by doing your market research ahead of time, you get to understand, how you're going to do it better. And if you do it better, how you're going to sustain it when this other company is going to fight you for it. So all these things that have to be done ahead of time, the more time you spend ahead of time, to do market research, understand your market, understand your customer, understand the timing. Like if the timing is not correct, it's not going to launch anyway. I mean, you have Google Glasses here, you know, it came out, and where is it today? You don't hear much about it. The timing of the consumer was not ready for it. So these things that you have to really spend a lot of time in researching, but it's a lot easier today on the market to find any kind. Type any research, you'll see tons of information.
Absolutely. You mentioned with regards to research and timing that there are some mistakes that you can have as a startup. I just want Yoda to touch upon what are some common mistakes that startups make, you know, when they're just trying to get on the ground.
Sure, I can answer that. So I worked extensively for a few years with entrepreneurs and trying to help them. They come with an idea or a product, and then we try to like put that product into a business plan or a financial model. And one of the biggest, there's three things I can talk about, but one of the biggest things is actually what Dr. Mehdi just said, but it's also assumptions. It's assuming that the market is ready for this. It's assuming that you understand market behavior. So I'll give like a small example of that. Doesn't have to do with the business, but it has to do with a normal conversation. The brand J. Crew is actually going under. It's not doing very well. And so I talked to a friend and I'm like, oh, the J. Crew product is not doing very well. And her answer was, no, that's not true. Me and my friends still buy from there. And so it's like, so she thinks she understands the market because she and 10 other friends buy from J. Crew. So maybe that branch is doing well, but that doesn't mean that in the United States, J. Crew is doing well. So assumptions are very critical because if you don't know what's going on in the market, if you don't actually go out and make sure that your audience is there, your market segment is there, and that market segment is scalable, then your product won't go anywhere. There's two other ones, but they all more have to do with the personality of an entrepreneur. So like Dr. Mehdi and Dr. Adi said, that an entrepreneur is a personality before it's anything else. Anyone can go to a job from 9 to 5 and do something, but heading a business and management, that's very, very difficult. And so two things that I've seen a lot, and I've worked with mostly Egyptian entrepreneurs. I've worked a lot also with other nationalities, but the main point was always Egyptians. And it was two things, is that they're letting go of the corporate lifestyle, that, oh, I'm not a corporate anymore, I'm not a 9 to 5 job, I don't wear a suit. So they lose the sense of professionalism. And when you lose that sense of professionalism, the investor or your vendor or your salesperson doesn't take you seriously. Because if you show up with a torn jeans or you show up 20 minutes late, or you don't have your files together, or you can't answer a simple question of what is the size of this market, then why should I take you seriously and invest my time in you? So professionalism is very key. I understand that the startup culture is very good. It's excellent. It brings out innovation. It makes the workplace more fun. It's actually a really good environment to work in. But also professionalism is an aspect that we can't lose. And one last thing is just the lack of procedures that comes with professionalism, is that they wait too long. They have a company for 4 or 5 years, and they operate as a startup for 5 years before they put like procedures and procurement and supply chains and like try to operate the company as a company. They wait too long, that trying to backlog all of the information they did for 5 years is almost impossible.
Would you say that person's ego plays a major part in the entrepreneurial personality or the mindset?
I'm trying not to say, oh yes.
This is a casual conversation. People should know, you know?
I am trying, because one of the things is that the average entrepreneur age is like 27, 28, let's say that. And so they get so hooked up on the word CEO. I am the CEO of this one-year company. It's like, no, your company's been around for 3 months. I am the CEO, I am the CFO, I am the founder, I am. I'm like, yes, but where's the product? Where's the company? So yes, trying to not call yourself the CEO actually helps.
And other than titles, you mentioned your friend and her story about J. Crew. If I had someone around the age of 27 when you had a product, and you gave them one piece of negative feedback about their product, what is usually the response that you get?
So actually, it depends, to be honest. And the older you are, the better the feedback you get. So if you're an entrepreneur right out of college, you've never been in a corporate environment, you've never had a boss that made you feel bad about yourself from 9 to 5, so you don't know what that is. And so you tend to be more opportunistic, optimistic, and that tends to take negative feedback badly. But the more you love your product, the more you love the company and not yourself, the more you're able to be flexible, the more you actually want to succeed, that you don't see failure as failing as just a way, I'll do it a different way, then the more you're receptive of it. So you always tell if someone's going to work good or not is from the way they accept feedback.
Absolutely, and I want to just piggyback on what you said and link it to something Dr. Mahdi, Dr. Ali and Mr. Mahdi said, that failure isn't an option. So even if you do get negative feedback, you need to take that in as a lesson, if I want to understand it as a lesson rather than something that upsets you and puts you down.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to go to the next question and say, what are the skills that a good business owner needs? And anyone can answer this one.
I did not ask for it. Just I want to go back to market research, and I'm going to get back. It's connected to answering this question. Market research is very crucial, but you need to see the dots and be able to connect the dots. Meaning, people say everything has been done. What I'm going to do, what I'm going to invent, there's nothing left. The answer is a lot is left. So when you do the market research, I want to see the dots in different places and see how to connect them to come up with a product or a service. Then you got the vision to invent, to introduce new concept, to be innovator. And everything is there. The dots are there. Everything is there. Please spend time to identify them, see how to connect them to come up with an idea and a product. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Just gave me an idea for a new question, so I'm going to ask you a new question. So we started with what is a good product or service enough for success. How do I, as a young entrepreneur or a young man or woman, come up with a good idea? What questions should I ask myself when I'm brainstorming?
And working in different areas. If you look in Egypt, you notice that all successful businessmen, they're doing 100 different things, pieces and bits here and there. This is not really the ideal business approach. So you need to work within your area of expertise, within what you believe. You gotta have the passion. You gotta have the passion to have an idea and feel that if I execute this idea, it's going to benefit the people around me, it's going to be good for the world. Like, it may sound too idealistic, but it isn't. You want to do something that benefit the society and the people around you. That's why they're going to buy your product or buy your service.
So I'm getting what can be of benefit to society today, and maybe another question would be, what problems do we need fixed today in society, and maybe come up with an idea that way?
It's a very good question. Magdi will answer it.
There's really, every person is unique and every person in their field is unique. The key things is, from the surface side, why did I open 5-9 Group? Because I found a need that I felt I can do better than my competitors at the time around the competitors that I know. So that's why initially the thought that comes behind. So you can use this very simple example in many different ways. You know, what is it that you believe in that is a problem for you today, that you can do it better than anybody else and solve your own problem? Then expand it by asking other people, is this a problem for them? Then you start from there going around. But in the surface, you have to have a niche. You have to understand your market, your niche very well. You have to understand the competitors around you. And my own personal experience is we had so much shortage in finding IT resources at the time when I was managing a large project for one of the largest corporations in the United States. And I saw how those small business coming and giving me those resources and the market, you know, the markup they have on those resources. And, after a couple of years, I say, wait a minute, I know so many IT folks, I know so many people that would love to work with me personally. Why don't I provide the same service? So the timing, the market, the customer, everybody was ready for it. So that's how I really be passionate about what you either solve something that's you challenge for you or something that is needed and try to fill up the gap. The best things we do in our business when we deal with the customer, it's not what they're doing, it's what they're missing. That's what I tell them, But you really need this way. Let me write you a white paper about this. And I go and I get the best people who are specialized in this subject to write me a white paper. As I go and present it to my customer, that's how I can get the idea going. So
you mentioned how you said, when I was doing this, I knew that I can do this better.
yes,
And I had the idea, I had the service in mind, but you also had excellent business management skills. So tell me, what are the skills of a good businessman?
oh wow, there's so many. Again, first is you
Don't
really
be so humble.
one of the key things for a good business owner have to have a leadership. They have to have a vision. They have to think ahead. They have, like they always tell you, you cannot hit a target you cannot see. You have to kind of know where you are. So that's something that you have to have a vision. You have to have a good communication skills. You have to really understand. You have to be analytical of yourself. What's good about you? What's bad about you? The more you know that, the more you'll be successful. One other thing is, as I tell all my friends, I mentor a lot of people and how to open their business and how to become successful in their business. One of the things I tell everybody when they start their business to take accounting 101. You just go learn what accounting is. Learn how to read an income statement. Learn how to read your balance sheet. Learn how the income is coming and the expenses go. Learn the bottom line. Without learning that, your business will fail 100%. And to make it even, for the people who advance on this, to really figure out what's your bottom line wanted to be. And in every income statement, you always see the bottom line on the bottom. I will encourage everybody to turn it around and make this bottom line on the top. And how I'm going to meet this, how I'm going to lower my expenses, how I'm going to increase my profit to make this bottom line bigger. So be cautious of your finance, accounting, how you manage your accounting, have a good legal advisor, be a people person. One of the things that I think everybody in my company, tell me, I hear it, is I was a technical before I became, an owner of a company. So I always put my shoes in my employees, foot to see how, when I was sitting in their place, how did I like to receive this information? And constantly I try to do the same thing. I try to be cautious of my employees and their feelings and their, how they're going to take this information than just my bottom line, that I want to profit. And that's really a great recipe for success for a business.
Absolutely. Dr. Ali, I just wanted to also take the same question, the skills of a good business owner.
First thing is integrity. You got to have personal integrity and honesty, because that's your reputation. People will come to you because you have great reputation, you can deliver, you're trusted and trusted. That's the main trait. Secondly, as Magdi said, you need to be a people's person. You gotta know how to relate to people working for you and your clients. The third thing is, keep in mind that you want to share your success with people who helped you be successful. We have a team helping you out. They gotta share somehow, find a way to compensate them and to share with the success you have. That's a good motivation. Appreciate everyone working with you or for you. Don't feel that, as you said, I want to be a CEO. It's not the goal. The goal is to be, as Magdi said, is to be a leader. And a leader is who is a captain of the ship, who's going to drive it and sail it into success. At the end, I want to touch upon the failure aspects because that's most of the discouragement comes from failure. I have a little bit of something I want to say at the end.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So a leader shouldn't forget the little people.
Should not.
Yes.
No, people, I think people make the company does not make the people. The great management, great creative minds, people who share your vision, who respect you personally, and you really respect them, not because they help you make money, it's because they help you fulfill your dream, your success, because success is a journey, it's not a destination. It's not that you want to make your first $1 million or whatever, and you're going to be successful. It's not. It's a journey. You got to live it. You got to enjoy it. But keep in mind, while you're enjoying your journey, enjoy your life. Don't forget your family. Don't forget your health. Don't forget your society. Don't get absorbed into success, because you're not going to feel success if you're just living to succeed. Live your life while you're succeeding, and it's a journey. At the end, you're going to say, wow, I succeeded. No, I haven't yet, but I'm going to do more. I'm going to try to be more successful and always add value. I'm going to add great service, add the little touch, the extra touch, add value to what you're doing for people around you. Develop products and services. You're going to enhance the life of others. This way, people will share your dream. People will join you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the words of wisdom.
Thank
I
you.
want to go back to something that Mr. Murphy said. You can't hit a target you can't see. So you're absolutely right, and I love what you said, because oftentimes I feel in most Arab communities, not just the Egyptian American community, we don't really look too far ahead when we're planning for things like this, and that's a major pitfall I feel in many startups in the Arab American community. And I was listening to something by Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, and when someone tells him that his quarter, he had a great quarter, it's not something he looks forward to, because his plan is 3 years in advance. He already knows what's projected for 3 years of quarters from it. So that's some great words of wisdom, just to look ahead. And I appreciate you for sharing that with us. And you mentioned failure, but I want to bring you back to Yara and ask you, what can make or break a business in your opinion from what you have seen through business that you've done?
It's very hard to add to what you said. But the most critical thing, everyone thinks is the product. It really isn't the
Okay.
product at all, because you can, like, I think it was Dr. Nagdi who said that Google Glasses failed. But then there's these little rubber bands that kids wear that are different colors that they play with. That thing, that industry is $1 billion industry. That little string that kids wear, that's $1 billion industry.
Absolutely.
And so that worked incredibly, and that's not even a product, that's like paint with a little band. And the Google Glasses didn't work. So it's not a product, it's actually the person behind it. And what can make him fail a business is finance and market research. It's knowing your market. Is you standing in front of an investor asking you how much market share you want to capture in the first 3 years, you know how to answer that. How much, how many personnel do you need, you know how to answer that. Who is your vendor, who is your competitor? Answering that. Saying I have no competitors, that's a really bad answer. Because you might be the first product, because even cell phones, when they first came out, they had a competitor.
Absolutely.
So everything has a competitor at some point. So just thinking that no one has done what you did, no one has tried it, that there's no value in the market, that's what kills the business. It's the ego, it's not the product.
Absolutely. Okay, so gentlemen, as far as competitors, how do you deal with them, and what makes or breaks them?
Fight.
Yeah. If life was that easy.
Actually, it's a very tough question, because competitors in our field, when we bid a proposal that's in the multi-million dollar contracts, we have to know who you're going against with. So there is so much work and analytical work that's been happening behind the scene. So we have a department, as we call it, intelligent analysts, That's all what they do is they do research on other companies that do competitive work. We see how they won the previous contract, we see the prices that we can do. We cheat sometime and we hire somebody from this corporation that's very close in bidding to save them to know the salary so we can calculate how we're going to bid these things. So competitive is it's really in my field. Of course, I cannot talk about other things, but in my field, we spend so much time and meetings after meetings analyzing, who the competition is. Because if I know company X and I know how they bid, how I'm going to beat them, that's the key thing. I need to know how I beat them technically, I need to know how to beat them in price, So competition is a really tough thing to know, and it's the hardest thing to know. Because again, you're going to make assumptions, and you're going to figure out, you never know what the mind of these people, decision makers, that can make the decision at the last minute what they're going to do. So you have to really do as much research as you can, and don't be short in making this investment, because you can spend so much money preparing for it and you bid it in the wrong condition or the wrong assumption.
So not just product or service research and the needs of the client, but also researching your competitors and what they're up to. So the question is, how much time do you recommend a startup to put into research before launching their product? Research specifically for the competition that's out there.
Well, I wish that's an easy thing, that's a switch on and off. It does not work like this. Every single product, every single field, every single service that you provide has a whole different market analysis. There's books and books written on how to search your own area of expertise. And if you come on an idea and you are just an entrepreneur, how would you know that this is being out there, without really spending the time to look for it? The thing is, you have to be, you cannot wait until you do everything perfect. Just start, think about it, start. The key thing is to start. We don't want the perfection to be the enemy of the good, which is like, you want it to be perfect. You're going to spend all this time doing the research. Well, it's too late. So don't, everybody will know when is enough is enough.
Absolutely. With regard to competition, though, is it fair to sum up and say that you should always be doing research on your competition throughout the life of your business?
Absolutely. You're always in Silicon Valley, in the early age of the IT field, people hire executives, subject matter experts, to hang around on bars, to just sit in the bars in the happy hours to hear the other executives around them what you're talking about the next inventions that you're going to do. People hire people with a big, dollars to just listen to other people what their ideas are so they can beat them. So it's absolutely. So it's cool.
It's research.
It's kosher research.
Yeah, it's kosher research. So after you have a product or a service, we can pass that on to our people. After you have a product or a service, you need to look for money.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I just want to add something to about research
Sure,
real
yes.
quick. So research is definitely an ongoing process.
Right.
If you stop research, that's okay, but your business is not going to grow.
Yeah.
You're going to be there, you're going to sell the same thing all over again, and you can be pushed out of the market. You never know. But research is an ongoing, because market changes every day. How to approach an investor, is that your question?
Yeah, how to approach an investor is great.
You approach an investor when you have product validation.
Okay.
When your product is validated, when you can go into an investor's office and tell them, I can prove demand, I have such and such sales, I can do this, I understand the market, here's my financial statements, here's my projections, and this is why I need the money.
Okay.
Giving a very good explanation why you need the money is when you know you're ready for it.
So more particularly, I guess, what's the investor looking for? Because I'm sure they speak to many people.
So there's a lot of things that
Yep.
investors look for, and this is not what my company looks for. This
Okay.
is what I've learned over because I worked at several investment companies. So this is what I've learned overall, not at my current job. The investor invests in the person, not the product. He invests in the person. If that person if he likes the person a lot, that's when you're going to start the investment. Because the investment is more like a marriage. You're stuck with that person. He owns part of your company. He's going to be there every day, every meeting, every opinion. So you need someone you can get along with. Like you try to choose a person you marry well, and like a bad marriage ends with a really bad way. Investment relationships can end really badly as well. So it's the same concept. So what does it mean to look for a person? Because the market, and I'm sure Mr. Magdi and Dr. Ali can answer for this, the market changes every day. And so I can do perfect market research today, and tomorrow morning it's irrelevant. That's how the market operates. A new invention can come in and be like, oh, this is out. A new product is coming out. So you want a person that's able to go with the flow. You want a person that if he fails, you know as a person, like tomorrow he's flexible, he'll work around this, he'll do something new, he'll do something else, that he's not rigid, that he's not, oh, but I did this, but this is my market research, but look, I can prove that, yeah, this was relevant yesterday. It wasn't relevant today. So an investor always looks at the personality of the person, but is he an entrepreneur? Like Dr. Maggie said, it's something that he's born with it. Is he able to roll with the punches? Is he flexible? Does he love his product? Does he love the market? Does he not have an ego? That's what an investor looks for.
So we have an investor here. So
Absolutely. Right over to the
what
next.
the bank looks for.
So the overarching theme, I feel like today, is that personality of an entrepreneurship is the key, is a major key to success. I just wanted to say something. Are there any single people here? How about parents that have kids that might be single? Isn't it funny how in any Arab American conversation marriage comes up? And she compared it to marriage. I just thought that was really funny because anytime you go to an event, it's always like, so what's going on? Are you married? It's not, hey, how's your business doing? Or how's your degree coming along? Oh, we're not gonna have a conversation. But it's just interesting that it always comes up. All right. So as Mr. Magdi said, we do have an investor here today, Mr. Mohammed, and I just want to ask you the same question that I asked Yoda as far as what are investors looking for?
Sure. So, not investor.
Okay.
Bank, right? Investors are gonna take stake in your company.
Okay.
Possible equity in there. The bank is really there to help facilitate you. So for most that tell us that they are going to have X amount of customers every month to equate to this amount of revenue, and we're going to be a successful solution or product in the market. The problem is they can't explain how they're going to get the customer to actually buy it. And from a banking perspective, that's the most important thing, is what's your come to market, how are you going to sell the product to the customers, do you know your competitors out there, and the differentiating factor has got to be the person in front of us. Because as a banker, I tell the story for you to our, what we call the black hole, which is the underwriter, where they make all the decisions.
All right. So you basically got to get the banker on your side and to believe in you, and that again goes back to the theme of personality as an entrepreneur. What tools and programs are out there for small businesses and startups?
Absolutely. So your local bank is definitely the first place to go. The Small Business Administration, they have a website, sba.gov, where there's a ton of tools. There's also small business development centers in every county, every area. Your chambers can guide you to that. And then a great tool is the Service Corps of retired executives, also part of the SBA. And what that does, that has retired executives or people that are in the field currently that can help mentor you and guide your business to growth, and bring you to that, either opening your business or you've been successful for a year or you've had troubles, and this will help you get to where you need to be. But I would definitely suggest, if you're looking to start a product or solution and you have your business plan put together, come to the bank then for the financing, because when things are bad, that is the toughest time to come back and say, I need money now. You don't have that capital.
So you mentioned mentors, and I want to pass the baton back over, and just for startups or entrepreneurs, what skills should they, or what should they look for in a mentor?
Also, I want to say is we have an investor here, so I'm going to tell him.
Okay,
what
so let's
he
get back to
looks
the
for
investor question.
when
you
he
saying?
looks for an investment.
All right.
Okay, thank you. What investors look for
Yeah.
in a business? I think they look for how cheap can I buy that company? How long is going to take me to sell it for unbelievable amount of money? That's the overriding philosophy. They don't care. They may love your personality, but they're not gonna invest with you because they like you. It's a good reason, but they want to see how they're gonna recover their money, how we're gonna service the debt, and at the end sell it for exorbitant amount of money. So they're not your friends. I don't think they're your friends. Different sources, as you talked about, various types of investments. You can go to the bank, you can have angel money from your friends and family, which is very difficult because if you fail, you lost your family and your friends. And the other thing is to go to venture capitalists, and they come and they want to acquire 80% of your business, 70, 80% in order to lend you some money. And at the end, it's not a bad thing if you know you're going to be successful or going to reach a goal, but it's also you have to be able to live with that. Sometimes they help you reach your goal, but it's a tough business. It's very tough to get financing. But again, I want to add, if you believe you're going to succeed, you're going to succeed. If you believe you're going to get financing, you're going to get financing. Don't ask me how. Please do not ask me how, because I got my first $250,000 loan from a bank in Green Bay, Wisconsin, with zero collateral, zero. And they believed in me. They were stupid, obviously. Yeah, and gave me the money, and it translated into a good business. But again, it was difficult because you're going to fail. Everybody's going to fail, no matter what. You're not going to succeed. Your first 10 trials or attempts is going to fail. One day you're going to succeed, but you got to have the determination to succeed and the belief. And I tell you one situation. It's a funny situation. The $250,000 I took, I did it to launch the first fat-free, cholesterol-free cheese in the world. That's back in 1990, early 90. And I got the money, and I thought I know everything. I'm a smart guy. I launched the product, I found places to manufacture it for me, I found somebody to market it for me, and I ran out of money. I was so ignorant, so naive, that I didn't know how to manage my business, as Magdi said. I had no idea about financial statements. I have no idea. I just saw one thing, I need to succeed. And it was a mistake, so I ran out of money. And then the banker came to my office one day, and he said, I'm going to call the loan. And that's it. $250,000, got to pay it back. And I would never forget that situation. His name was Scott King. I don't know why. That was long. It doesn't have any significance, but I never forget it. Scott King. So he came and he said, I said, Scott. He said, yes. I said, you go to hell. I'm going to succeed. I'm not shutting the doors. He said, how much more money do you need? I swear.
You're saying it doesn't have significance, but I think that is a very significant climactic point in your career.
It is, because, but again, it shows you that you're determined to succeed. You're going to find a way to succeed. You're going to figure it out. And believe me, it's going to come your way. If you work hard, you believe in your idea, you continue to work with perseverance, one day it's going to come back, one day it's going to happen. Somehow, don't ask me how, but it's going to happen.
Excellent. So you mentioned venture capitalists. I just want Yara to touch upon accelerators and venture capitalists and the differences and similarities between them.
Sure. I just want to, sure, I'll talk about the difference between them, but if we're talking about, I just want to touch point on something you said, that an investor doesn't care about a personality, but if it's a startup, they do. That's very different than a private equity when the company's already made $70 or $80 million. If it's a startup and it's an idea, the personality then really matters to the investor. So it depends on which stage the company is. So your question is the difference between accelerator and venture capital?
Yes.
Sure. So those are different asset classes. So companies are classified into asset class. An asset class is the price of the company or the value of a company. So there's like startups, and then there's like little beyond the like growth capital or like, and then big companies and then pre-IPOs. So they're all different types of companies and they all need different amount of money throughout their years.
So we're specifically talking about startups.
So when we're talking about
Yeah.
startups, that falls under like something called accelerators, and that's and then venture capitals. And there's also something called angel investors.
Okay.
So an accelerator is a program. It's like a school. So you go there for around 4 to 6 months, depends on each program, and you get money. You get, it depends, it's usually $200,000. That's the average amount you get on an accelerator program. And you're schooled on how to start a business for 4 months, sorry. And it's school. You go in, you take finance classes, you take marketing, you get interested mentors. You work on that, and so 4 months and you graduate, and then they help you raise more money then. That's seed money.
And accelerators don't take.
They do take equity. They do. They do take equity, and it's usually it depends. It depends. It's not. I can't say a certain number.
Okay.
And then, but it's not 80%. Like it's less than 50. And then people who don't want to go through that program can also get seed money, which is small tickets. And that they do from angel investing. So an angel investor is just a high net worth individual that chooses to give you money. And so invest as an individual, not as an entity.
Angel investors could also be family and friends when you're
Can be
starting.
family and friends. They call them the 3 Fs.
Yes.
They love
Yeah,
Yes.
they call them.
Money.
They love money.
They call them the
People who
3
loves you will
Fs.
give you money.
The friends, family, and fools. That's what they call them. And then, and so venture capital is the asset class right after that, and they give Series A, so the money you need to launch your business, and that's a higher ticket size. And that's people that already have product validation, they're already operating, they have customers, and they need that money to move forward. So it's a small ticket, but they don't have a program for you.
Okay. What would, as an entrepreneur, which investor
Do you go to?
would I approach to when?
You go to an accelerator if you have an idea and don't know how to turn that into a business.
So to me, an accelerator sounds like
Also,
like the
add to what you're saying is a simple way to look at it is if you need a service, if you need help in growing your idea, go to the accelerator because he mentors you. Okay? So the accelerator will be mentoring you how to make your project or service grow and establish. If you're looking for money, if you're looking for cash, then you have to go the other route. Accelerator is not going to get you cash, it's going to help you. If you're looking for cash, then you go to the other route. These are the lot money, I call it, or angel investors who can small amount, not large amount. If you are already well established, like Riyara said, and you have a product and you have market share and all that, then you can go to venture capital. And in each one of them has pluses and pluses and minuses. So you have to weight it and see what it is. Like what Dr. Ali said at the beginning, share your wealth with other people too. So don't be tied to, it's my idea, I'm not going to share it. Many success companies have started by partnership. And again, like you say, partnership is, it's a marriage. So please, not in my own personal experience, but in many other experience, don't start partnership without shaking a strong hand with written contract. Okay? You have to write a contract. You have to put all the conditions there because the shaking your hand can be broken at any time. And when you make it big, it's going to go after you. When you fail, they are not going to know you. So just keep in mind that you can have a great partnership. In my own business, I handshake the business for 5 years when it became multi-million operation on a handshake for 5 years without having a partnership agreement. But again, every case is conditional, every case is different, and you have to choose your partner who's going to be with you for a long time.
So when we're talking about startups, new entrepreneurs, it seems smart for them to go straight to accelerators just to gain that education, or not. Tell me why.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You could already be a good business person. You could already understand the business. You could be working for 15 years in a company and know how to run a business. So So it's not necessary. Actually, sometimes accelerators just push you down. It depends on where you are.
Okay.
Because there's no equation for you. I don't know who you are. I don't know your company, so I can't answer that. But no, it really, really depends.
So you should do research on yourself and get to know yourself a little more
Exactly.
before you.
And I want to
go
add
ahead.
something about the partnerships
Yes.
thing. Is just that one of the biggest mistakes, as well as exactly what Mr. Magji just said, is that you don't pick the right partner with you. So the biggest problem I would see is that friends starting a business together, and that's very critical because they're friends and they don't put down shares. And they don't put down, oh, you'll take 20%, I'll take 30%, I'll take 50%. They don't put that down on paper, but each person in their mind has an idea of what they want. And then when they come down to write that contract, fights come out. And like, this is my company, I worked harder, why do you get 50, why do I get 20? And so you can start a business with your friends, but putting everything down from the beginning, excluding friendship from work, is very critical.
Excellent advice. So making things clear when you're in a partnership, particularly with your friends, is super important. Anything else that we'd like to add as far as partnership success?
In my own experience, again, I like to tie to my own little word here. One of the key success is no greed. Okay, just remember that. You are in partnership, you are not going to think the same way all the time. You will have fights, you will have disagreement, you will have arguments. The key things is you have to know in your heart that your partner is not trying to shortcut you or trying to cheat on you. And in your heart, you are not trying to cheat on your partner or shortcut him. If you have this basic principle that he's doing that for the best of the business, and you're doing that for the best of the business, you are not really going to have problems. Because even if you disagree with your partner, by the time you get home, he's either sending you or she's sending you an apologize letter, or you are doing the same thing. So keep in mind that your partner helped you to be where you are, regardless of what you think about it. Without the help of this partner at the beginning, you wouldn't be where you are today. So the reason you choose a partner, there have been reasons why you choose a partner. So think about that as your empire growth, that you wouldn't be there if your partner was not there at the beginning. So don't feel like some cases people feel like they did everything and their partner really is not doing anything and all this, and they should earn more. But don't think about it this way, because again, you wouldn't be where you are if your partner was not there helping you getting there. So that's my own personal advice, is basically just remember, why did you get your partner? But again, partner is a marriage. If it doesn't work, you're going to have to figure out a way of, So when you get into a partnership, just remember, as close of a friend as you are, as a lover as you are, remember, when the time comes, you have to have everything in writing, because that's where it's going to count. It's as soon as you get into the partnership, think of how you're going to get divorced from this partnership. And that's applied to joint venture, applied to any kind of business deal. It's how you're going to get out with the least damage for both. Have to be win-win.
Yeah.
Okay?
One of the most important things around the partnership is defining the role of each person. If you guys do not have a defined role of what you guys are going to execute on and what the success is for everyone at the table, then it will not go well, because people will again assume that they are doing more work than what they might need to be doing. So defining that role in the partnership is critical, and in your business plan, you need to have it laid out, because without the process and without the execution of that process, then the partnership will fail every time.
Absolutely. With regards to everyone's, I'm going to get to a Q&A in just a second. With regards to everyone's expertise, I'd like you to give some words of advice so that we can get to a Q&A. So we can start from you.
Assumptions are the worst thing in business. Never, ever assume that your product is going to succeed or that the people are going to be there to buy it. You need to have a plan and understand what the market is, what the solution is, and how you're going to go to market. So never assume anything, especially about the people that you know in your community, your friends, your family. Get to know everyone, network, and build it up from there. But don't assume because someone's wearing a t-shirt and jeans that they are not a successful business owner. So they can add value to you, and all you have to do is ask questions.
And also don't assume that you won't get that long.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, assumptions is my favorite word, so assumptions. And also listen. Just listen to people around you, network, listen for advice, learn from history. People tend to think, oh no, that's history, that's not present. But it's history, but it worked for a reason, and history tends to repeat itself.
Thank you.
You want one advice? I would just encourage everybody, go open your business tomorrow. I want everybody to have a CEO title and their business.
At M&T Bank.
It doesn't matter. Start your business today as soon as possible and start thinking about it. And as soon as you have this business card in your hand that said CEO, or said, without ego, you will be successful. Start immediately.
Thank you. I'm going to give you a little bit different angle, different advice. Dr. Salah Hassan, who teaches business, sitting there, he's going to hate me for that idea. It's if you have one good product, one idea, and you invest in it, work so hard for years, and it does not materialize, what's going to happen? You lost everything. You need to look at something I call focused shotgun approach. Okay, sit down, please. Okay. That focused shotgun approach is a maximizing your chances of success. And I give you a simple example to bring it closer to your mind. Let's assume you are in the kitchen and you have a stove and you have 4 burners. You're going to have 4 meals you're cooking, and they're all related. They're all food, but it's a variation. It's a different dish, different type, different flavor. You focus because you focus on the first burner, the first dish, give it all what you can, and work hard on it and keep an eye on it, let it simmer. When it's simmering, move to the next dish, next burner. Finish it, move to the third and to the fourth. So now you have maximized your chances of success. If one turns out to be bad tasting or it burns, you got 3 other opportunities working. So yes, it's a shotgun approach, but it's a focus because you give it attention to everyone and you keep an eye on all of them and you let them simmer until one of them succeeds and you become successful. Dr. Salah?
I don't hate you. We call it systematic strategic approach.
That's what they call it?
Yeah, I mean, you are systemizing, your portfolio and you are prioritizing, so...
Right, so not to focus on
agree.
one thing, right? It becomes your life, right? That's right to,
You have to be strategic in your planning, and you have to set priorities, and you have to be focused. I don't disagree with that. I fully agree.
Thank you. You come home and cook with me.
This is a great segue to get into the Q&A. So we're going to open up for discussion or any questions. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I just had a minor add-on for the partner.
Here you go.
Concerning the partnership situation, you probably want to get an insurance policy, life insurance policy on your partner. Actually, it becomes mutual because if somebody dies, you want to increase the dies.
Wow. Very dark, but okay, yes. No, I appreciate that. He's right, absolutely.
That's a very good point.
It's a
business to die, a short person, not it.
Yeah, it's a key thing that we talk about to every business owner is that if there's something called key man insurance, that if that one person is gone, does the business go with them? So we really have to look at the insurance and look at one, especially from a banking perspective, is how we're going to get paid back. And if that sole owner or those 2 people, something happens to them, then what happens to the business and what happens to the money from there? So it's a great point to make sure that if one person in the partnership is unable to continue or wants out, how do we continue, and does the business actually move on from there? So,
I know you wanted to add on.
Me? No, it's
Okay, just agree.
it's a process. You
Okay.
have to sustain, the growth of the business.
Yes.
I have a question. I guess this is for Yara, but the panelists can all answer it. What do you recommend or what do you see to getting more women involved in this field, particularly maybe in Egypt or in the Middle East? I know Wamina is a really big angel investment firm in the Middle East, but there does seem to be a lot of roadblocks and in diversifying this field. Is there anything you specifically see or that you would want to engage with?
I'm sorry, I'm just going to repeat the question. So is it getting women involved in startups in general, or?
Yep.
So, okay, the question is getting women involved in startups. How do we increase women's presence in startups?
So I'll talk about Egypt because that's what I know. I don't know about the US. You'd be surprised. Women actually have a presence in the startup field. They're not absent, contrary to popular belief, they're not absent. But yes, there could be more entrepreneurs and there could be more women investors. Like I remember I was in a meeting the other day and my office were 3 women and someone came and was like, I've never been to a meeting where there's 3 women on the field. So it's like, this is weird. 3 investors, that's weird. I'm like, yeah, our office is all females. But also it's unfortunately it's a cultural thing. What I see, the most common thing I see is that women start out in startups. I'm talking about startups, not bigger companies. Startups, and then they get married and then they stay home. That happens a lot. But it's not as a big of an issue as we try to hype it up with this. No, women are actually, I think Egypt is different than many other companies. They are involved, but it's also encouraging them in high school, encouraging them in college, and taking out as a weird thing, as a taboo that you have to have a steady income, or you either do this or take care of your kids. So it's working on that taboo, is conversations, is dialogue. That's what's going to help it more than anything else.
So I just want to say one thing. In Egypt, they actually, just a couple months ago, they had a conference for startups by mothers in Elgona. And they're all actually mentors as well to girls in high schools in Egypt as well. So I know they're doing great work there. Maybe it's not as huge as we'd like it to be, but from an educator's perspective, my answer to your question is education. From the home and in schools. Make sure you're putting your kids in schools where teachers are understanding of what's going on in society, and the role of a woman isn't still, a backwards thinking mentality. Make sure you go to your kids' meetings with the teachers and speak to them and know that their mentalities, or they're not instilling something in them that you don't want to be there, because you want to raise young entrepreneurs.
And there's, here in the U.S., there is a ton of groups out there for women-owned businesses. It's actually a classification with the government that you can get that status and bid on contracts as a women-owned business. And they are required by law to divvy out those small contracts to that community. So there's tons of opportunity here, and support groups for women-owned business owners. They even have their month with the banks as well, and we do lending and everything.
And I encourage you, Maha, to create a group, if there's not one yet, for
Thank you. I'm
Egyptian
not in this
women
field, but
entrepreneurs.
that's what secrets here to do,
I know there's one actually for Latinas, and it's every year they hold a conference in Columbus Circle at a huge venue, and thousands of young women go, and they're mentored by people, but also other women that are successful as well. Yes.
Hi. So I have a question for Muhammad. Given that you really approached me with this idea and you're really passionate about it, I wanted to see and you touched on this in your discussion, what kinds of things is M&T Bank specifically doing that differentiates itself in terms of supporting small businesses and supporting initiatives like this?
So we are constantly out in the market.
Can we repeat the question?
Yeah. So what is M&T Bank doing that is different from other banks to encourage entrepreneurs and small businesses?
So our main differentiator is that we're out in the market listening. And that's one of the biggest things. A lot of times you'll go to a bank and they'll take the application, they'll take the financials, and that's it, right? And you hear back either a yes or a no when it comes to your small business. It can be a loan, account opening, and servicing. we listen and we tell the story of the business owner. And to get that leverage from a bank and that support is extremely uncommon. So we are constantly out there, myself as a branch manager, is to be out there in the community at events like this to make sure that M&T is prevalent and out there, and let people know that we are servicing small businesses across the board. Whether you're a startup or you're an experienced business, small business classification is under 15 million in net assets, right? So that's such a huge opportunity and market here that we are constantly out listening to business owners for what they need and not just throwing out products and solutions to them.
The fact that you're here today as well says a lot about M&T and their integration in the community, so it's also excellent. I saw another hand raised. Yes.
Question about the shape or the form of the business. Is it you need advise solely the property or partnership or?
Okay, so you're talking about the different types of businesses when you're starting.
What's the recommendation for young starting?
So what are the recommendations for young startups? How should they register their business?
I will just go tomorrow, like I'm saying, pay the $10 on the internet and have your last name, Inc. and create it for LLC first. And LLC is the simplest, easiest, fastest way of doing it. As you get mature and as you get bigger a little bit, you may incorporate your company so you can start protecting your personal assets. The goal is in many cases, if your company grows, expect a lawsuit somewhere is going to be attached to that. Okay, so how to protect your personal assets from get sucked into something like this is by incorporating your business, and also in the future how you're going to share that in stock, open it for share the stocks with other investors.
Yeah, I do agree that LLC is the best format for startup because any losses or gains, it gets passed along to your income statement, and so you can really blend any losses in, or it works out much better at the end. But I agree 100%. Separate your business, incorporate, so your personal assets are protected.
So you are speaking about a partnership. Which is better, to start my own business 20% or to have partnership to support me with this?
So you're saying is it better to look for,
Just my 20%.
so start small on your own or build bigger with others?
Yeah, this is better.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, to understand your question, you're saying is it better to start a business and only own 20% versus owning the entire company and growing? Okay, you can, please all correct me if I'm wrong. If you only take 20% at the beginning, it's only gonna get smaller. Only gonna get smaller because as you grow, as your company grows, you need more money. And that money comes in either through investors or banks. Banks, you take collateral, so you don't take part of your business. But as more investors come in, your share dilutes, gets smaller, because they need to take 5%, they need to take 20%. So actually no, start 100%, because that's gonna, by the time you're a big company, you might just own 20% of the company.
I would have also, addition to what you're saying is very valuable, 100%. But as an entrepreneur and starting a small company, you have to think about what value added you have in this company. Why is it going to give you 20%, or why would you give 80% away to your company? So you have to think about the value added that you're going to have to maintain your share. But I'm a very believer that if you don't have the resource to get you started, go partnership with somebody that will help you get you started. Don't make that obstacle for not starting your business. Because again, even the 20% is better than what you have today. So just think about it, even small incremental over time, it will be better than nothing.
One thing I just want to add to that. When it comes to the guaranteeing of getting money, so Yara said collateral, and there's also a personal guarantee that comes in with that. And that personal guarantee is for anybody that has equity of 20% or more within the company. So the bank will always require that guarantee. So you 100% need to make sure that you are committed to that business and that solution if there's any lending need in the future, because you will be responsible for it.
Any more questions? All right. So I want to thank the. Yes, there is. Where are we?
Oh, okay. Last question. So I was recently approached by an angel investor who was very excited and wanted to kind of get my advice on what they thought about the company that they invested in. Yara mentioned that angel investors can be family, friends, or fools. I won't mention which one he was. But the company that he told me about had very, very strong competitors that I was aware of. And so what do you say to companies, or when you're looking to invest in a company that has strong competitors, what else do you look for? It's a good question.
So what to say to investors, is you're saying?
So no, what do investors look for when they see companies that have strong competition?
Okay, so what do investors look for when they approach an entrepreneur with a company that has a lot of competition?
I'm sorry, I just want to understand something from your question. Is you're like an expert in this, right? He's just trying to ask you as an expert in that field. Is that what?
Oh, I'm not an expert in that field. No, but just they were getting just a layperson. Yeah, a layperson's perspective or a millennial perspective, I think.
Well, that's a hard question because competition doesn't equal bad. Like, it's a very hard thing to answer because I don't know what the product, I don't know what that is. But competitors don't always mean bad. Competitors might mean, okay, how am I going to differentiate myself from the market? So you have to understand your competitors, because then you have to see, how am I entering the market? What is my value added? What's my value proposition? What am I going to think of? When people say Inji, what do they think of that's so unique to any all of the other Injis? Like it's that. So it's that's the value added. So competitors is not bad. It could prohibit you from going in if it's that competitive, if it's that saturated of a market. So also competition could be, is the market that saturated? Is there entrance of it? Is there perhaps a new value I can create to creating a parallel market? There's so many into that question that it's just hard to say what is it exactly we're looking for, except without knowing the product itself.
I think we also touched upon it earlier, I believe, Dr. Ali and Mr. Mehdi, when we said reinvent yourself constantly and do your research even on competitors and don't fail, right? So continue on. You guys want to build on?
I use this quote all the time because I love it. When Abraham Lincoln said, if you want to create the future, if you want to secure the future, create it, something. So I would say, if you want to, create your future, go invest in it. Go work on it. Go start. Go work hard on it. That's really the key thing.
I want to add. Look at, when you evaluate the company, just see, is the approach the company you want to invest in is better than the competition? Is it more innovative? That would be a determining factor that you can compete. But guarantee, or like a major factor to succeed is to be innovative. You need always to think about what's the next new thing in my field. Sit back, do the market research, know everything about it, but sit back, take the time, take half a day. Just go and sit back and say, how can I do better? What can I improve upon? You're going to find a lot of dots, and you're going to be able to connect them.
Any more questions? Anybody else? All right, so at this time I want to humbly thank these brilliant minds for being with us today. And of course to thank all you beautiful people for putting up with us for the past hour. Thank you for all your questions, and I'm going to pass it on to you.